Well, all right. Welcome back. Close it now. I am stoked to get into this episode today. We are covering episode number 7 in the energy series. This one is energetic listening, how to hear what they are not saying. I like to call it listening between the lines. So, have you ever been in this situation? They said yes, but something kind of just felt off. They nodded, but you could feel the hesitation. Or they gave you the famous, let me think about it, and then it disappeared, turned into ghosts. What happened? Most reps listen to the words. Elite reps listen to the energy. They hear what the buyers aren't saying. So that's what we're going to cover today. So stick around. We are getting into this right away. So, quick recap of the episodes up until now. Remember, this is a 9-part series. This is episode 7. Number 1 was energy as the missing sales skill. We talked about just the energy in general. Number 2, we talked about setting the right container. It's not just setting expectations, but actually creating a container of create the space first of we're creating a trusted, safe space for them to be able to make a buying decision. Number 3 was emotional leadership. We're going to lead the room without absorbing their energy. Number 4, transferring certainty. It's belief over words. Number 5 was energetic consistency, how to show up and how to show up steady every single time. Number 6 was energetic mirrors. Buyers reflect what you bring. You are leading the conversation. Remember, be the calm in their chaos. Today, we're going to step into a definitely a more advanced, but often definitely overlooked skill, energetic listening. What is energetic listening? So we're going to dive into that. But first, let's talk about what happened at Relentless, the ultimate sales transformation in Boston last week, because it was transformational. So incredible. Saw leaders walk out different than they walked in. Definitely had some breakthroughs. We had some serious mindset shifts. We unlocked some massive identity. One of the things that is so important to understand is when you have the right room with the right people in the right container, it creates accelerated growth. It was 3 days of event, but I can tell you we compressed time for people. We smashed years of experience and training into a short amount of time. And the people that left there, I'm immediately hearing stories of people closing deals that they never would have gotten before, that are closing at much higher tickets than they ever have before. Just going right through handling objections like they never have before, or as we like to call them, areas of concern. Thank you, Mr. Doug Wyatt. And so, man, it was powerful. We laughed, we cried, we definitely transformed. So you missed out. We're going to have some people on the show coming up that were at the event to talk about how their stories have transformed, how their life has transformed, how their sales have transformed as a result of the event. So stick around. It is going to be awesome. So let's get into this. I've got a lot to cover today, so we're gonna short circuit a little bit. We're gonna skip the what's in your cup section today, but I do have to give a shout out to my buddy Brian O'Boyle. He did bring me some tea from Ireland, so it's Irish tea, and it is fire. It is next level. So thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate that. And also, my buddy Tony Manier, he brought me some coffee. Brought me a bag of coffee at the event, and I'm so grateful to every single one of you who you reached out. You've given me tips and recommendations for coffees, for teas, and this has been a fun ride. I love the just how we all connected, how we're creating this community of each other supporting each other. We're supporting ourselves, we're supporting other people. It being part of a tribe is a lot of fun, especially when we're focused on the same thing. So let's get into this, because I'm going to quick hydration drink here. Everybody, what are you drinking today? I've got my Close It Now bottle that was a gift from Mr. Tim Hook after I was on his podcast up at Hook Agency, Mr. Tim Brown. I say Tim Hook. That's what his Facebook profile is. Tim Brown at Hook Agency. I love it. If you need some digital service, he is a beast. They do good stuff up there. So hydrate. Let's get into this. So let's see. We've got three levels of listening. Actually, let me go back a little bit. We've a little bit more about the event. We've got some other cool things going on. I made a couple cool announcements. One of the things that's going to be happening here really soon. Here's a perk of being at the event. So I'm going to talk about what it is, and then I'll tell you what the perk is. Was hearing from everybody there because we had a lot of people that were different speakers. We didn't have the chance to go through, step by step in super detail of every single step of the Close It Now sales system. So what I announced at the event is I'm going to host a webinar coming up here. It's going to be we're going to do it in a couple sittings. So it's going to be several hours of webinar where we are going to walk through the entire Close It Now sales system, start to finish, soup to nuts, as they like to say. And what that will be, it is going to be a paid webinar. So I want you to, it's not going to be outrageous or anything, but we're going to be diving in. We're going to spend probably 6 or 8 hours together in total once I get it all mapped out. And basically to train it as if we were in classroom together. When I do on-site trainings, when I do travel trainings at companies and organizations, this is a huge part of what we walk through. Well, you are all going to get the benefit of that, and it's going to be great. So if you have been wanting to know what the system is, start to finish, if you've been wanting some training specifically on that, if you don't have a system, this is a proven one. We see insane numbers across the country, big towns and little towns, in the country, in the city, it doesn't matter, in the north, in the south, it doesn't really matter because it's based and rooted in psychology. Brains are brains, people are people. And at the foundation of it, psychology is psychology. So when you overlay that with the steps in a system that are built in order to unlock those padlocks in someone's brain, you get results. And it's really incredible what happens. So I'm going to be going through that start to finish. It is good. So join the Facebook group or message me and get on the mailing list. I'm going to announce when we are going to be hosting that. It's going to be a virtual event. It's going to be across several days, and it's going to be fire. So make sure that you are involved in that. Now, the perk and bonus of being at the event, everyone who attended Relentless is going to get free access to this event. Because I always bring extra value to everyone who is in the room. They make the effort to get to the event. They bought the ticket, all of those things. So I want to make sure to provide value for everyone there. So that's a big one. So if you weren't at the event, you'll have to pay. Everybody who was at the event, you get free access, which is great incentive, everyone, to be at the next event that happens. The other announcement that I have that happened that I announced at the event I introduced is I have just created an epic follow-up system. So we know the fortune is in the follow-up. I do not care what other leaders in the industry say. There is massive amounts of money left on the table if you don't follow up. And if you don't follow up 8, 10, 12 times. The problem is we've never had really a roadmap or system of how to do it. So we're all great with sales systems. We've got these beautifully designed systems. There's lots of different versions. Of course, there's mine. There's, lots of different trainers have their own system. Now, what happens though is we get to follow up and everybody says, okay, you got to follow up. You got to follow up. But no one knows how. No one knows the right language to use. And we definitely don't have any type of a plan, especially as detailed as your sales system should be. We should have a follow-up system just as detailed. So what I created is it's a follow-up system starting day 0 from the time that if you just absolutely can't close it. Of course, we're going to do everything we can to close the project. Also, this is not a crutch to not go hard in the paint and stay in the batter's box and handle areas of concern, handle objections the way you should. However, we all know there are some clients that just they don't buy on the first sit, and it's okay because we're creating relationship. I am all about the idea that as long as they continue to bam fam book a meeting from a meeting and book the next appointment, it's just to be continued. There's no such thing as losing the sale just because we need to book a second or third a visit or whatever it takes. Do what it takes to win the business. This is what top performers do. So I created this plan. It goes out. It's based around four different. It's got a lot of things in it. If you know me, you know I do things over the top and to excellent detail. So it's based on four different buyer types, sorted by if you've booked a meeting or haven't, to continue the conversation, and it's also sorted by different phases after the appointment, because somebody's mental state and the psychology of like day 0 through day 3 is different than day 4 through 7, which is different than day 7 through 14, which is different than day 15 through 20, 21, which is different than that phase into phase 9, into, say 90 days out, which is different than 90 plus. So I created a follow-up system with all of the touch points, complete with scripts for email, text message, video message, and phone call, or of course in person if they actually get in touch with them. Four different scripts, four different modalities, four different buyer types at each phase of the step, completing 12 plus touches along the way. So this is your net. This is the follow-up system. Now, this is not, it's definitely not something I'm giving away, except for everybody who attended the event got the beta test version that I had printed and bound for attendees of the event. One more reason to attend events, because you get a lot of extra bonuses. So we are going to be hosting a webinar on that as well coming up soon. This thing is fire. I cannot tell you how incredible it is. It's still in a little bit of beta test. We've got some case studies out, so we'll report back with some numbers here as soon as they start coming back in. But I can tell you one of the things that we did while we were in the event, I had everybody send out one basic, easy follow-up message. And my man, Jonathan Neves up at the Green Energy Mechanical, he set up his chirp. He just sorted by the 4 months of the summer, this past summer, summer 2024. So last year, he sent out a message. And it took him about 30 seconds to do, maybe a minute. The message went out to 4 months worth of unsold proposals, and within minutes, four different people responded back, and the very next day closed one for, I think it was a little over 20K. So that was the time it took to do it. Got back in touch, closed it down. So there is fortune in the follow-up. I love the process, and you are going to love the system as well. I've never seen anything at all like it anywhere in the industry, in any home services. And so I was excited to develop that for all of you to be able to close more business. I'm telling you, you have millions of dollars, literally millions of dollars sitting on the table, that just because they didn't go with you does not mean they went with somebody else. In fact, most people, when they don't choose you, unless they specifically said they went with somebody else, and even then, a lot of times they back out of that too. That's why you go back by their house and it's still got the old condenser sitting out there, or they still have the old garage door, or they still have the old roof. Whatever it is, they didn't buy from anybody. The confused mind said no. They got overwhelmed. They got into indecision. They got into analysis paralysis and didn't pull the trigger on anything. So there is a massive amount of fortune in the follow-up. You just have to do the dang work. Stop being lazy. And a lot of times we didn't do the work just because we didn't have a system or know what to do. Well, there's no excuses now. I made it for you. So we're going to do a webinar on that coming up soon. So make sure to join the Close It Now Facebook group, and I'll be making those announcements. Also, two other things. Now that I am back from the Relentless event, I am going to be relaunching the every other week. We're going to be doing role play sessions in my Zoom room. So join the Facebook group. You'll get announcements for all that. I put the events up on Facebook. So we're relaunching the role play sessions. We're going to be handling objections. We're going to be handling closing. We're going to be handling all these different phases of the appointment, and you get the opportunity to practice. I don't do a whole lot of training. I usually do a tiny bit of training at the beginning, and then we just go around and take turns and practice the words. So if you don't get the support you need at your company, if you are, say, you're solo out there, like me, for the first decade of my career, I was just by myself in a car most of the time. I didn't have the ability. There wasn't Facebook groups. There wasn't anything like this to be able to tap into, and no streaming, any of that. And so it's definitely an ability to speed your learning faster, speed your mastery. And so we're going to be doing that. Also, I'm relaunching the Close It Now book club. This is for anyone in or outside of home services. Share with anyone who could use who would love to join for personal growth. We're going to cover business books. We're going to cover sales books. We're going to cover mindset books. We're going to cover a lot of different things. And so I want this to be a welcome, open community. The book club, there will be no such thing as a sales pitch in it. It's strictly there to help our industry, help all of home services raise the standard. We've got to raise our mindsets. So relaunching the book club also will be announced on our email list and through the Facebook group. So make sure to go to Facebook, search Close It Now. The group will come right up, join, and I'll make sure that you are added, and then all of those announcements will be in there. So excited to have some bandwidth again. The last several months of preparing for this event had definitely, they just kept me covered up with, it's a lot of work to host an event. It was incredible. It was transformational. And now it's time to get back into the regular swing of things while we're planning Relentless 2026. Will be in spring of next year. We're going to host it a little bit earlier in the year, probably late March, early April. That way, it'll give more of you. One, you've got a year to plan now. So be watching. We had a videographer at this one. So be watching for videos, and you're going to see a ton of stuff from the event. But it'll give you a year to plan, and we're going to host it a little bit earlier in the year. So it's not going to be bumping up against when the weather warms up. So you don't have any excuses not to attend. The power of sharpening the axe is exactly what it is. You can, even if you take 3 days out, 3, 4, 5 days out that you're not in the field selling, the amount that you're going to make up literally as soon as you get back will way more than pay for it. Stop being lazy. Stop using that as an excuse. If your business can't function by a couple people being out of the field for a handful of days, we need to talk, because that means that you don't have a business that functions without you. That means you don't have, you need work on your systems and your budgeting and those types of things. That is something that we do here at Close It Now. We help companies with that, explode their growth, scale their systems, and become that company worth buying from. So reach out. We can have a conversation about how we can help you. Let's build your war chest. Let's build your systems in a way where you're generating revenue. If you are there or not, if your key members are there or not, we can still build in systems for this to happen. So with all that being said, let's get into today's content. We're starting with this of course, again, after all that, again, this is energetic listening, how to hear what they are not saying. So first of all, we've got to set a foundation here. One of the things that you need to know is there's 3 levels of listening. Years and years and years ago, I was reading some books on life coaching, and it was called coactive coaching. Therapists learn, and psychiatrists, psychologists learn the different types of listening. There's 3 levels of listening. So we're going to go through that, and we're going to start applying it in what we do, because you know me, I've said forever that, maybe not forever, but since this podcast has started, sales is 90% psychology and 10% actual skill and, taking orders. So what does that mean? Well, this is one of those things, 3 levels of listening. So the first level is internal listening. It's definitely very self-focused. We're thinking about what to say next. how to get to pricing. We're thinking about how we're coming across. You're in your head. You've left the conversation and you're stuck in your head thinking about all these things. So, one quick coaching tip here. After every call, you need to ask yourself, was I present in the situation? Was I present in the conversation? Or was I thinking about myself? The pitfall and the reason so many beginners and amateurs get stuck on this, and they're scared to ask better questions. They're scared to ask probing questions. They're scared to ask for the close. A lot of different things that they're scared to say. Literally, fear enters into this conversation, and that gut feeling and all that is because they're focused on themselves. They're focused on what will they think about me, which is the wrong mindset. The focus has to be, how can I help them? How best can I help? And the only way we can help them is if they buy from us. We can't do it for free. We know their life is going to be better because of what we're doing for them. And the only way we can get them there is by asking the right questions to help them move out of their comfort zone. So the focus has to be on them, not on you. So that's level one listening. It's worried about the words. We're internal listening. We're thinking about that. And it keeps us kind of stuck in this. We're not even present in the conversation. So that's level one listening. Level two listening, which is focused listening. Some people call it, intentional listening. There's several different terms for it. But level two listening is we shift to fully tracking the client's words. We're present in the conversation. We're asking good follow-up questions. We're curious. We're using tactical empathy, as Chris Voss likes to say it. We're using rare listening skills, as Doug Wyatt likes to say it. We're listening. We're slow down. We take a breath. We restate what they said. We use mirrors. A lot of reflective listening and being very intentional about it. So this feels better, but we're still only hearing words, not the energy underneath the words. So, quick coaching tip for level two listening. So when you run a call, make this your goal. Run a call where your only goal is to listen without solving the problem. Level one listening, and especially a lot of you coming from, we come from this technician background. Our goal is to listen and solve the problem. A lot of times we just need to listen with no agenda to solve the problem. We're just listening to understand, not listening to respond. So this is step two. Now, let's get to step three, and then I'm going to go back and we're going to talk about how they all work synergistically together. Level three listening. This is global listening. This is listening between the lines. We're listening for energy. We're listening for environmental changes, environmental situations. This is mastery. We have to be able to zoom out, take the blinders off more than just why you're there and what's happening in the middle of the exact conversation you're having. And we have to start to track the entire conversation's ecosystem. So what is happening with breath? Did their breath speed up or slow down? What's happening with their tone? What changed? What's the pace? What's the tempo? What's the cadence? Did it change? Body posture. We're looking for emotional shifts, subtle energy changes. We don't rush. We hold space for them. And we all know that this is a thing. Think about it like this. You've all been in a situation, and I used this example, I think, a couple episodes ago. Say you're in the living room with your family in the evening, and maybe y'all are watching TV or you're playing a game or doing dinner, and somebody walks into the room, if it's your spouse, if it's a kid, whoever it is, and everybody knows something's off. They didn't say anything, nothing happened, you can't even see it on their face, but they walk into the room and instantly you go, "Hey, what's wrong? Are you okay?" How did you know? Because you could feel the energy difference in your loved one. So that's a very specific, a very obvious example of what happens here. Now we have to do this at the same time in our conversations with our clients. Things that we learn in IRL, in the real world, in all of the situations outside of our appointments. Why do we write these stories in our brain that says that none of that applies in our appointments? It definitely applies into our appointments. So we have to carry it forward into there. So we don't rush, we hold space. So here's your coaching tip on this one to start working if you're already at level two. So if you're only at level one, start with level two first and practice that, and then systematically step in level three. And I'm going to give you a roadmap for how to get here. But if you're already at level two, your coaching tip for how to enter and practice level three is in your next conversations, feel the rhythm. When did energy rise? When did it drop? What happened? Basically, elite listeners, elite reps don't just listen to the words, they listen to the unspoken between the words. So now here's the thing to remember. You don't live in level three all day. But the power is recognizing when you are and aren't in sensing level three and being able to reset very quickly. So now we're going to go through a roadmap of how to grow through all three levels. Before we do, one thing that I want to touch on is level two, level three, there's not one that's better than the other. They're both required to work together. They have to synergistically work together. You have to have level two. You have to have these micro agreements along the way. Yep. And this is called bedside manner. When we think about doctors, the two equally brilliant doctors, you go to the doctor's appointment. In medical, it's called bedside manner. It's not the same term for sales, but it should be. Except other that I guess that could get a little creepy if we talk about bedside manner, but this is the name for it. But think about it like this: you go to the doctor, and two equally brilliant doctors, both masters of their craft, and one of them does a really great job of listening. Wow. What then? Tell me more. And the other one is silent. They ask a question and then just listen. Don't say anything. Make a couple notes and just ask the next question. That second one, this is the difference between why so many times we get a second opinion and don't. The first one, when they engaged in the conversation and it seemed like they were listening. Now, the second one may have listened just as well and taken in every bit of the information, but it didn't feel like it because they didn't interact or engage with you. They didn't give you the, yeah, wow, okay, and tell me more about that. Those types of micro responses in and not to cut people off, but to when there's a lull in the conversation, you add those in. The second one didn't. A lot of times we're turned off by that. We call it bad bedside manner, and we'll get second opinion until we find the doctor that is engaged in the conversation. Now, again, they could both be equally brilliant. The second one might even be better than the first doctor or surgeon, but because of his interaction with you, it didn't feel like it. Now, if that applies there, of course it applies in our appointments. So this is really crucial. So we have to have both level two and level three listening working conjunctively at the same time. And this is where true mastery starts to happen. So let's get into the journey of mastering all the three levels of listening in order, because you can't just learn them all at once. You've got to go through, you've got to master each as you go. And then as you do, you're going to find you progress better and better over time. So step one is simply noticing how often you're thinking about yourself, your script, or your outcome. Awareness equals power to change. So step one, start noticing how often you're thinking about, man, did I say the script right? What was the next step in the process? Oh man, they just said that means humidifier. They just said that means better air filter. They said this, that means we're going to have to upgrade, this. Okay, that's level one listening. Notice how often you're thinking about yourself, your script, or the outcome or products is something internally. Once you are aware of it, now you can program yourself to start to think, okay, I need to shift into level two listening. So stage two, this is focused listening. What you're going to do is you're going to shift your focus 100% to the buyer. So this only happens when you have mastery of your process. So basically, elementary school is learning the script and role play. And that doesn't mean you ever stop role playing. It doesn't mean you ever stopped mastering your script and getting better and better and better. But once you have gotten to the place where you know it so well, you internalize that you don't have to think about the script, then you can start focusing on 100% on the buyer, which is how are they responding? What is happening? What are they saying? We get to focus on level two. So we stop rushing, we slow down, we stop trying to instantly fix the problem, and we listen. We stay with their language. We get to modify what we're doing to match their language. You let yourself hear what they say before trying to solve. That's a huge part of level two listening. It's really focusing on them, not on you. You've learned level one so well, you don't have to think about it at all. So you can strictly focus on them. You can focus on that conversation. You can focus on those micro agreements. You can focus on using mirrors and asking better questions and listening to understand, not listening to respond. Then getting into level three. This is where we start practicing the energetic listening, global listening, coactive listening. So this is where mastery starts to really happen when you can and you'll get incredible results if you only ever stay at level two, because most people have never really listened at level two. Most people are so self-centered in society and life, they don't ever listen even at level two to listen to understand. They strictly listen to respond. So, and this is classic. You can go back. I mean, Dr. Stephen Covey was a master of this. This is one of the principles of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is this type of listening. Even before that, it's the classic. If you've never read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, it's a classic tenet in that book. And even before that, I've been really getting into Stoicism lately. A lot of the old Stoics, this was what the principles were. It was listening better, listening to understand, not listening to respond. So it's a tale as old as time that's been restated every few generations by a new voice, saying it a little bit differently, but it's the same message that carries through. So how do we get to level three? Mastery happens here. So we're going to start to read energy shifts. Like I mentioned, when you're in your home and you're hanging out with your family and somebody walks into the room, you instantly know something's wrong. It's that being able to notice those types of energy shifts in a home during your appointment. Trust silence. We've got to get used to and get comfortable with more silence. We're going to lead without pushing. So here is the coaching tip. Here's your challenge to start to work on this level. You're going to run 5 calls where you start to track the emotional rhythm. What created tension? What calmed it? Did you hold space for it or did you rush through it? This is where the deals start to close themselves. Have you ever had the ones that just, oh man, everything went perfect and they asked for the sell? A lot of times this was hitting on all cylinders. This is some of the magic of why that happens. People that can do this on a regular basis, that's why you show up you do a ride along with them and they just don't get objections. Or if they do, they just move right through them with really no hesitation because they knew they were coming minutes before they ever showed up. So the truth about mastery here, you're going to bounce back and forth between the levels. Elite reps just recover faster. Mastery is not perfection. It's awareness and fast reset. That is the difference. You don't have to be perfect at this to attempt it and to continue to work on yourself. Choose to be 1% better than you were yesterday. But mastery is awareness of it and being able to reset very quickly. So I've got a challenge for you all. So after every conversation, and if you want to know more, of course, I'm going to take a note out of Scott Sylvan Bell's book here. If you want to know more, of course, you can go to email me, sam@closeitnow.net. You can go join the email list. Go to closeitnow.net and fill out the form, and I'll put you on the email list. Or join the Close It Now Facebook group. We make announcements all the time. At some point in time, I'm going to probably try to sell you something because that's how I stay in business. If you want to know more about coaching, if you want to know more about how to get me to your company to do on-site trainings, message me. That's what we do. That's how we help people. And just like you, I can't help you a lot of times if you don't buy something from me. But it's okay. This is a synergistic relationship. I give value, give value, give value on the podcast and in the Facebook group. And when you are ready, reach out because I'm here to help. So, want to get that disclaimer out there because yes, there are times where I put offers out because just like you, I got to pay the bills too. And this is what I love about our community. Everyone understands that. And it's not weird if we set the right expectation. I'm not here to tell you that everything I do will always be free, although I do a lot of free content. So if you are new, all of you on YouTube, if you're not following me on YouTube, go over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. I would love to, let's grow this channel. That way we can reach more people. And if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. That way you're notified when new episodes come out. So let's get into some tools to develop your energetic listening. The first one is silence. Start using silence intentionally. Even in a recording like this, I literally could get quiet for a handful of seconds and it's going to create tension. Check this out. Now, if you're listening, you would have called that dead air, but all of a sudden, we have this anxiety and not anxiety, but this anticipation. What in the heck is he going to say next? Because there was a little bit of silence. Now, in person, of course, or virtually, if you're interacting with somebody, silence can be insanely powerful. So use it to your advantage. Practice sitting in silence longer than anyone feels comfortable. I did this at the event. It was literally less than a minute, and somebody dropped a pin because they couldn't handle the silence. It instantly broke the silence. I was like, watch, I bet we don't even last a couple minutes in this room. And sure enough, somebody broke the silence. So you have to practice sitting in silence and getting comfortable with it. Number two, start noticing micro signals. Start noticing those little changes in energy shift, the tonality shifts when say their mouth, the side of their mouth moves a little bit, their eyes squinch, their face changes, their body language. Start noticing these things. Number three, I'm going to use the mirror and label technique. Mirror and label technique. So here's an example sentence, and I know that you'll understand it and take it forward and apply it to a lot of different things. So it could be something like, I noticed something shifted when we talked about XYZ. Can we revisit that? So I noticed something shifted when we talked about your daughter's room. I noticed something shifted when we talked about how when we talked about how something functions. I noticed something shifted when we were talking about your budget. I noticed something shifted when we were talking about what you're wanting to accomplish here. Whatever it is, just replace X with whatever the thing is. The point is, notice the shift. I noticed something shifted when we talked about XYZ. And don't do it, don't stop it right in the middle of that conversation. You're going to use this tactically to your advantage. I noticed something shifted when we were talking about, can we revisit that? It expresses to them that you're listening, but listening at a much higher level. And they'll go back and revisit that. Oh, you know what? You're right. And so the big theme here is stay in service. Buyers buy at the speed of safety. If they don't feel safe, they won't buy. That has to make sense, and it has to be a trusted, safe container. So buyers buy at the speed of safety. So that's the three levels of listening. You have to be able to function in all of those levels. Level one, consider it level one is elementary. Level two is junior high. Level three is high school, or however you want to think about it. It doesn't matter. But level two and level three, you're going to bounce back and forth, and you're going to be using both at the same time. Level one is your basics. You got to learn the stuff. Once you've learned your scripting so well that it's internalized and you've recited it, you can recite it at a moment's notice with no hesitation, without even having to think about it. That is when you've got level one mastered. Level two and level three, you will never have it mastered. In fact, level one, you can always improve on, but level two and level three, you've got to constantly work on, and they work together. You have to be thinking and seeing the entire conversation through both of those lenses simultaneously. That's where you reach mastery. So the biggest shift, you must become a student of energy, not just words. Stop listening to win, start listening to lead. Let me say that again. Stop listening to win the deal. Start listening to lead the people. And that is what mastery means. So if this landed for you, share it with your team. Share it with somebody you know that they could use this series, and that this is the missing piece in their sales. And love for you to post your biggest takeaway. You can catch me on Instagram at the real close it now, or inside the Facebook group. Make sure to pop your takeaway from this episode. And also, if you got value from this, I'd love to hear your takeaway in a review on Apple Podcasts. And go over to Google and leave me a 5-star review on Google. So 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and on Google. You'll find the links for that in the show notes. And the main thing is the journey to energy mastery continues. We have 2 more sessions before we wrap this series up, because there's so much to cover here. I'm literally smashing 20 years worth of learning into 9 episodes. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to know more about coaching with me one-on-one, or having me out to your company, or our company-wide process where we scale companies, then reach out, talk to me about that. We blow companies up. It's such a different process than anybody else that you could possibly work with. I guarantee it. No one else does what we do, because we think differently than everyone else thinks. So, one of the things, last thing I want to wrap up with is, this is the kind of the flow for this. I'm going to just recap it one more time, just to make sure that you're on the right path. Step 1 is internal listening, self-focus. You're thinking about what to say next, how to get pricing across, how are you coming across, what are they thinking about me? That's step 1. As fast as we can, you've got to get past that into focused listening, listening with intent, being present in the conversation, asking good follow-up questions, giving the micro, yeah. It's the co-active listening. You're curious. Number 3 is listening between the lines, listening to what is not being said, listening to the spaces and the pauses and the energy shift. And level 2 and level 3 work together. So that is the episode for today. I know that you've gotten some value from it. I learn as I'm putting these together. The best way for you to learn is to teach. So reach out to me if you want to know more about the follow-up program, the webinar that's coming up. If you want to know more about the sales system webinar that's coming up, we're putting that together. Both of those are going to be fire. I can guarantee it. And they're going to be worth checking out, because it will absolutely revolutionize the way that your company functions, the way your team functions. And I'm so happy that you all have joined me on this podcast. I love every single one of you, and I'm so grateful for all of you that have invested your time with me today, and always do through the podcast. So thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure to go out there and be someone worth buying from.